Social justice is incredibly important, I think. In my life, I've seen a lot of social injustice, and when I see social injustice, it's absolutely angering because it's hard to believe that people aren't treated like they're all equal.
Hi, my name is Hannah Lozon. I'm the coordinator of social justice education here for Residence Life at the University of Arizona, and I'm the chair of the Social Justice Committee.
And my name is Justin Lukasevich. I'm the Community Director Senior in La Paz, and I'm the co-chair of the Social Justice Committee.
We're here today to cover a couple of definitions that you're going to use in your time during training as an RA here in Residence Life. The first definition we want to cover is diversity.
And diversity is the presence of difference.
That's all it is. It's not certain identities, it's not just race and sexuality and gender, etc. We want you to think of diversity as an artist palette with all of those different colors on that palette. There is a diversity of colors on that artist palette. That's it, the presence of difference.
Our next definition is identity. Identity is the aspects and characteristics that we use to define ourselves. It's also the aspects and characteristics that society uses to define us. It's important to recognize that we all have multiple identities that we're experiencing all the time. Some of those identities are dominant, and some of those identities are subordinate. Dominant identities are identities that experience privilege. Subordinate identities are the identities that experience oppression. It's important to really know that just because you may have dominant identities doesn't mean you're walking around all the time oppressing subordinate identity groups.
The next definition that we want to cover is social justice. Social justice is both a process and a goal. The process of social justice involves an equitable distribution of resources, equal access to those resources, and participation from all members of society. When we have that, we can achieve the goal of social justice, which is the full and equal participation of all groups in a society that has been shaped to meet their needs.
Our next definition is privilege. Privilege is unearned, unasked for, and often invisible benefits and advantages that are readily available to dominant identity groups. A good example of this would be whiteness. I myself am a white male, and I have to realize that I take that with me everywhere I go, and there are a lot of unearned privileges that I earn just from being white.
Our final definition is oppression. Oppression is defined as the systematic subjugation of target groups by those with social power, aka those who have privilege. Privilege plus power equals oppression. So it's really important to note that oppression is not just happening on the individual level. It's happening both individually, at an institutional level, and then finally at a cultural level. Individually, I might not like someone or I might tell a homophobic joke. That would be that individual oppression happening. On the institutional level, if we think about the fact that women are only making 77 cents on the dollar to a man, and that's only white women. Women of color are significantly further behind. And then finally, on a cultural level, if you think about the fact that we never see folks with disabilities in advertisements, on greeting cards, in mainstream roles in the media, that's what's happening on the cultural level. So it's really important to note that oppression is happening at the same time on all of those levels.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Takagi.
My name's David.
My name's Alex.
My name's Autrey.
Ariel Bratton,
I'm an RA at the University of Arizona.
and I have been an RA for 2 years.
And next year will be my third.
I'm currently super senior,
Sophomore.
Senior.
Junior, majoring in molecular and cellular biology.
architecture.
Marketing.
And I have a minor in Italian studies.
When I was younger, 7 or 8, I was at the airport with my sister, and a white woman came up to us and had said a derogatory term. So, not knowing what it was, I went to my mom. I'm never going to forget her response. She just hesitated. She wasn't quite sure what to say. It was the first time I've really seen her dumbfounded.
And in high school, one of my best friends was black and gay, and I was sitting next to a group of students who were also black, and they were talking about my friend, explaining to each other how they didn't think that he was fully black because he didn't act the way that they did, and they said there was something weird about him.
And I just grew up kind of figuring that everybody knew that people were different and that everybody knew that people needed to be treated well, but that really isn't the case. And I think I noticed that when I came to college and just got to experience all the different people and different reactions and interactions between people and how they treat each other. And I realized that there's definitely more education that needs to go on.
Because when you're growing up, middle school, elementary, high school, there isn't any gay studies, and it's very hard to find another person to talk about it with. I identify as gay, but I'm Asian, I'm lefty. There's so many type of impressions, I guess, on me, and I always felt shy, I had no confidence. I felt awkward.
I started talking to my community director about social justice issues, and through those conversations, I came out. And when I came here, I started learning a little bit more, and coming out was a wonderful experience, and I started feeling that I needed to get more involved.
The most important thing to me in being an RA and incorporating social justice into my wing and job and on my staff is just really creating a conversation.
When you get to know them and actually talk to them about things outside of like, you shouldn't do this or you should do this, they really start trusting you.
And it's a really great opportunity for you to tell them about yourself and maybe introduce things that they're not familiar with.
So if they say things that I could see are a little bit socially unjust or just kind of naive because they're not aware.
When I hear words like that, I generally call it out.
And I address it as if it were a very serious issue, because it is. And I like to talk about how it impacts other people.
And when you're actually their friend, they actually take in what you're saying.
And also another great way to do it is through programs. And I actually had a program called Thai Diversity.
I had them all open their doors, and the first weekend it was actually really awkward, but they kind of slowly moved into it.
And then we ended up just talking about social justice in general and awareness and education. So I feel like programs are a really great way to get the talking started and to kind of open up that line of communication with people that might be a little bit more shy.
Social justice is incredibly important, I think.
We need to be aware of how to treat people, and education is the biggest part of that.
There's so much hatred, bigotry, sexism, prejudice in the world that it's because they see the world in this very normal, traditional, this is what is normal, so they don't question it.
When I see social injustice, it's absolutely like angering.
And I think that's a large part of why we're here, is to treat people well. And I feel like you can't really treat somebody well unless you know their circumstance and their needs.
I know I would like to be treated how I treat others. So if I'm shown respect, I'd like to treat others with the same respect.
No one benefits from the social constructs of these labels and who has power, who has privilege, who has these layers of I'm better than you. And so social justice really opens my eye anyways to see those inequalities so I can educate others and educate myself.
And I feel like that's a large part of social justice, is just making people aware of different facets of different people's lives.
And you just learn how the system is just so unfair to people if you're not, in the top hegemonic labels of what is ideal. And so that was very much like, I want to be a person that contributes positively in this world.
Without social justice, we lose important voices. When people don't feel that their voices are going to be heard, we can't work for equity and equality for all people. It is not enough to be compassionate. You must act. When you see instances of discrimination and oppression, speak out. Be that voice for change. With social justice, we create spaces for all voices to be heard. We can work for equity and equality, and we allow our students to live their authentic, true selves. For many of our students, coming to the U of A is the first time they are going to be able to be honest about all of who they are. Please work with me to create those spaces so that our residents feel like they belong and like they matter and like coming to the U of A was the right choice for them.